Guys, so we're continuing with Deepak's daily reading in reference to the gap and the gain. So I think we last spoke about the importance of doing things skillfully rather than perfectly, and why that's important, because fundamentally assuming you'll always be in the gain is a fool's errand. And it then refers to fundamentally living in the gap or the game with people around you, and also the downward impact of those who get exposure to damage that you can cause by just seeing them in the gap. So what's interesting is the statistic that basically it's the brightest students and children who end up being the most psychologically damaged, because they'll take words a lot more seriously, and whilst they do perform in the game because they do perform in the gain rather because they're doing really well. They live in the gap, and they will live in the gap if you aren't mindful of your language. So top performers get positive reinforcement about their intellect and ability, but then they can live in the gap because things are never good enough potentially. So it's really important with children to be mindful of this, because you can damage them and halt further progress down the line. So that's why fundamentally also that when you are thinking of your own progress and success, it should be a single player game. You need to be your own reference point for progress. Don't even bother looking at anybody else. As long as you focus intently and internally, then you're much more likely to see success, because you can just reference everything based upon your own standard. So it then also relates to the language that you use. So for example, it talks about partners, and when you live in the gap, you want the people that are around you rather than need, and this is a move away from codependence. It's, I think, reminiscent of something that Axel said specifically, that needing to do things for Daniela was probably an unhealthy mindset, and I think he's right, having read this more now, and wanting to support. It's complicated actually when it's your life partner, but anyway, I do like this idea of living in the gain. Nonetheless, I think that part is perhaps a bit more complex, and focusing continuously on positives. And I've got a new notebook that I keep now where I write my wins for the day and also my plans for the next day, and have a win streak. I'll talk about this probably later. So anyway, living in the gain gets you out fundamentally when it comes to things that you need. It gets you out of the needing hole, because I need to achieve this, I need to do that, I need to do this, whereas you just focus on, this has been my progress, this has been my progress, this has been my progress, and I'm happy about that. And fundamentally, when you focus on what you want, then you can just go for what you want without judgment or opinions from others, because it's all focused around yourself, and you just start to remove external influences from your own goals. And by focusing on your own goals, you free yourself from competition, because your own goals are unique to yourself if you map them out, and as a consequence, it's going to be less competition and therefore less unhappiness, because it's about my goals and my business and my life, and that's a really good thing to have. So there's someone that they made reference to, and some of the questions that he asks when he gets new opportunities. I don't recall why. I think this was just a passing reference, but I really liked it. This idea that when you look at, for example, relationships that you keep, are they transformational relationships or transactional relationships? And it's the same thing with opportunities. Is this an opportunity to transform something, or is it transactional? That's the first thing. The second thing is, working on this project or with this person, is it aligned with my values? Do we share the same values? And then also, does it make financial sense? So there's this checklist that one of the guys that Benjamin Hardy references, who has these kinds of questions that he'll ask to keep him on track, and so I think it's quite really good. I think it's really good. And also, as a consequence, when you focus on the gain, sometimes the greatest, and these are quotes that I've not written who the authors are, there's several in succession, but anyway, sometimes the greatest gains happen because people ignore the prevailing pessimism. So a lot of people can be pessimistic around you, but if you keep focusing on your own wins, your own gains, then that's going to really change things. And then he goes into talk about epigenetics. And this is, I think, the gain in reference to even bad experiences and things that have gone wrong. So epigenetics is how your environment and behavior can literally shape your biological responses, and even down to your DNA. Is that crazy? So perception can shape biology, i.e., how you positively interpret things can really change things. So I think that's really powerful, and I feel anyway that talking out loud about this, reading about this every day for a couple of hours is changing my perception of everything, actually. So then there is a quote that I've got from the Archbishop Desmond, the former Archbishop, I guess Desmond Tutu, which says language does not only describe reality, it creates the reality it describes, which is why there's that principle of, I'm going to drive a Ferrari SF90, I'm going to pay for it for £750,000 in cash for my 40th birthday, and that's the reality that I'm going to create for myself, and I'm on that path now. So just things like that I think are really, really true and powerful. So the next thing is that mental subtraction is one of the foremost ways of increasing gratitude and happiness. So when you're feeling stressed or pissed off with people or anything, just if you're pissed off with your partner, then say, okay, well, what about the idea of no Daniela in your life? And then suddenly it makes you more appreciative of what you have, and realizing how sad you would be by loss is a real great form of creating gratitude. Anyway, I've come to Gales now, so I'm gonna leave you guys speak.
Hey guys, it's Deepak Shukla here. I am huge on listening to books on Audible. So if you're interested in getting all of the insights as I discover them through the course of all the books I read, please do comment, like, and of course subscribe so that you get notified every time we release a video. Thank you so much, and I hope to hear from you soon.